And now we return to As the Paint Dries. High school days!
Yep, Painterly, this is by far the most sincere pumpkin patch in all of Paint by the Sea. The Great Pumpkin is surely...
Beth, we've already been here for like 2.5 hours and there's been no sign of any phantom pumpkin spirit.
Oh, Painterly, you mustn't talk like that. The Great Pumpkin will hear you. I myself am just finishing my letter to the Great Pumpkin, which I will then tie to the stem of the most sincere pumpkin here within the most sincere pumpkin patch.
Beth!
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh,
you screamed like really loudly.
Oh, that scared the pain out of me.
And kind of like a girl.
Well, Painterly, you can't be too careful on Halloween night.
Yes, well, that owl did look particularly bloodthirsty.
Owls are birds of prey, Painterly, so I think that... What's that? What's that? I think I hear the Great Pumpkin. Oh.
Biff, it's just Miss Bristle's little dog, Sandpaper. Sandpaper? What am I doing here? I could be at Dylan's party right now. Dylan. Go nip him. Get him.
Great Pumpkin.
Biff.
Is Dylan the Great Pumpkin?
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. Welcome to Furniture Fables. The thing at the foot of the bed. The things that go bump in the night. At this time of year, even a mild furniture fabler likes a good fright. And what better time for some dabbling and trial in the darker and spookier sides of one style? Some dark academia. That is the way. So go grab some popcorn. Let's get to the play. Ah, here comes our future poet laureate now. This is a vintage, probably 40s or 50s, solid oak desk that I picked up for free. Now, at first glance, she looks pretty good and has some, I think, really cool original hardware. Those are nice cup pulls. This desk was probably a typewriter desk or writer desk constructed with that mission-style paneling and a nice solid wood paper rail or paper guard. But if you take a closer look, you can see that there are issues. In this shot, you can see that we've got some black staining, probably from water, but you can also see that there is some cracking and that the timbers are different colors. That all tends to suggest that the piece was exposed to water or humidity. And it also just kind of reflects its age. Its top was also a different shade from the rest of the body, and you can see it had a big crack and some nail holes, as well as some water spots. Whoa, there's a handsome injury. Actually, the more I looked, the more I found these crumbly injuries. And then I took a closer look at all of the corners and edges, and you can see that this piece is what I call chewed. No, it hasn't been chewed by a doggy. It's just that the wood itself is getting so dried out that it is essentially kind of breaking down, and it means that any edge is going to have these imperfections. Some of them are dull, and some of them are splinter-worthy. And then there were the drawers. Yikes! Lots of ink stains, and one missing lock, but I'm not too worried about that. So, as I began to plan out my redesigned thesis, I began. I started by removing those original pulls. Again, you can see how nice and thick this metal is, and this really cool patina, kind of a blend of brass and copper tones. And interestingly, it's not magnetic, not sticking to my magnetic tray there, which I think would tend to suggest that they are fairly pure because I don't think brass is magnetic. Then I got to work on the keyhole covers, trying not to bend them. My goodness, what is it this season with drawer locks? There's been a lot of them. And it wouldn't be a Halloween fable if I didn't run into another spider. Yeah, don't crawl towards me. That's not anything bad. It's just a garden spider, right, friends? Okay, it's time to go to greener pastures, literally. Are you gone? Yes, you're gone. I'm proud to say I took care of this one on my own, and then I used some simple green to give the desk a good cleaning. It's really important to remove any grease or oil or old furniture polish before any refinishing. And I guess that wasn't the only spider in the desk. Yeah. And then I, of course, rinsed the piece really thoroughly before cleaning all of the drawers as well. Okay, time to sand that top. I used a 120 grit paper and it did really well cleaning up, so to speak, the desktop and that paper guard as well. Luckily, it looked like that crack had actually already been repaired and was very stable, so that was good news. I discovered that one side of the paper guard was loose, so I went ahead and removed it and took out the old nails so that I could put it back in with some fresh nails. And in the meantime, I went on continuing with my sanding. So at this point, I had decided to paint the body of the desk. With the condition it was in, I felt like that would probably be its best chance for another good long chapter of use. And I also thought this desk would be a great candidate for a dark academia look. If you've never heard of this style aesthetic, it has its roots in kind of an idealized version of higher education. Think grand libraries, museums, maps, lots of books. Ooh, there's a lot of books. Look at that. And because academia conjures visions of coffee shops and all-night study sessions, it is also a very dark style, making use of a lot of black and very dark shades of green. It's for sure a very strong stylistic point of view, but I thought, what better time than this spooky time of year to try my hand at this trending style? I continued on with my sanding, and then I needed to decide how I was going to tackle the severely chewed edges of this desk. This can be a tricky thing to deal with because think of all the wood filler if you were to attempt to build the edges back up in some way. I mean, it would be quite the epic job. I didn't believe that that would be justified here, so my approach was to sand. That's usually what I decide to do with a chewed piece. So using my foam abrasives, I smoothed out all of those dings along the edges of the desk, which softened the appearances of those sharp edges. I also continued to do just a general scuff sanding so that the entire surface would be ready to accept the paint evenly. And I prepped the top and the paper guard with a 150 grit for their treatment, which was not going to be paint. Then I sanded all the drawers using my sander to clean out the bottoms as best I could. This will gunk up your sandpaper pretty quick, so get ready to go through a lot of sandpaper. But it does work, and I also cleaned up all of the edges and the sides. Okay, I am going to be spraying with Fusion Mineral Paint's Coal Black, one of my favorite true blacks. I loaded up my Wagner Flexio 3000, gave it a test spray, and then I was off to the races. So there are some folks who worry about a wood grain showing through paint. Sometimes that is an issue for me, but honestly, most of the time, I love it. I think it looks fantastic, actually. And for sure, this black paint over this oak with its strong grain for this style aesthetic is one of those times. I loved seeing the grain here. While that first coat dried, I grabbed a little palm brush and a detail brush, and I gave one coat, just one coat, to the drawer fronts. Then I came back and I did a second coat on the body of the desk. Wow, such awesome coverage. Okay, let's add some special sauce to the mix. This is some beautiful decoupage paper by Annie Sloan with the Royal Horticultural Society, featuring these incredible 17th century botanical illustrations by Pieter van Couwenhume. Hope I said that correctly. Set against that black, I think that they will work beautifully with our desk. I began by choosing the sections I wanted to fit over those drawer fronts, and then using a basic poly top coat as some glue, I smoothed the paper down with my hands, and then used some balled up saran wrap to help me get the majority of the wrinkles out. For this look, I knew I wasn't terribly concerned if there was a wrinkle here or there. That kind of works for this look, but I wanted to try for the majority. Then I used a fine grit rad pad and sanded off those edges. If you wanted this same look but slightly less rustic, you could just cut the paper to fit exactly. And then to seal and protect that paper, I added a layer of top coat over the top. That longer drawer needed a little extra bit of paper on that end, so I just patched it in. I unwrapped the desktop and then, using my nail gun, put that side piece back into place. Then I took a look at the top and decided to get out some oak-colored wood filler. I filled those nail holes, but because that crack had already been repaired and was completely stable, I left it alone. Because you know what? I absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic. After all my wood filler spots dried, I sanded them back, and then I wiped down the top to get rid of any leftover dust. And then I got out this. This is Fusion's Stain and Finishing Oil in One in the shade Cappuccino. There it is. You can just barely still see it. I gave it a really good stir, and then using a chip brush, I spread a generous amount all over the top of the desk and the paper guard, making sure to get the edges covered well too. After about 15 minutes, I wiped it back with a lint-free cloth, making sure to get all the excess that had not sunk in during that time. This is such a simple, straightforward product to use, and I get a great result every time. It will be dry to the touch in about 9 hours, and it will cure completely in about 28 days. Okay, I think the perfect way to deal with our very imperfect drawer bottoms is this. This is natural cork drawer liner paper. I think it will be great with our dark academia look, as well as provide some nice sound buffering for the movement of our desk's drawers. Home stretch. Okay, I sanded back the paper over those little keyholes and then carefully found the spots where the original finishing nails went and hammered them back in. I did the same with the original pulls. You can see I am not touching that patina at all. I think it is perfect here. Okay, do you remember our fantastic free find? In need of some serious sanding and despidering and a new, enlightened outlook? Well, here she is. Now. Wow. Is there a PhD in the house? Her once splintery paneling has been smoothed and smartly dressed in graduate black. And her rich cappuccino top still sports the battle scars of hard-earned wisdom. And those drawers, well, those drawers are a symphony of science and art and time-worn patina. I think our smart little desk is ready to support another generation of enthusiastic learners. So what did this little smarty pants cost me? Well, the desk of course was free. I spent about $20 on paint and maybe another $5 on that stain and finishing oil. The formal garden decoupage paper was $20, another $20 for that cork drawer lining paper, and I'll say another $5 for sanding pads, rags, top coat, etc., bringing my total out-of-pocket cost to $70. So what will I list it for? That is to say, if I can get it out the door. The daughters are circling. You know, desks are kind of interesting. I have made several desks with very strong stylistic points of view. You might remember that orange desk from a couple years ago. That one sold in a day. And just last season, I did that very taste-specific folk art desk. That sold within a week. Desks are fun, and I think there's a real market for ones that are unique and special. So with that in mind, I think that this beauty should do pretty well, listed at no less than $375. I hope that you enjoyed our dark academia-inspired fable. If so, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe, and let me know. Do you need a little dark academia in your life? And also, who would you sit in a pumpkin patch with? Or for? Thank you so much for joining me, my friends. I will see you next time for more Furniture Fables.